Welcome to Van Jammin, ladies and gents. This is episode 3, part 2 of episode 2. Uh, and so this is our second parter of the To Terrapin show by the Grateful Dead. Performed at the Hartford Civic Center in 77.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're doing a part 2 because the part 1 was just kind of we got through the first set and we realized we had covered an hour, and then we went, oh crap, we have to do a second part. So here we are. And for those of you who this is their first time, I'm David Kuhn.
Alec Maskell.
And I'm Braden Sunshine.
And yeah, we are Van Jammin.
We are
Van Jammin. So yeah, this second set, we kind of already ran through the set list of the first set. So I'm just gonna kind of go over this, just what we're covering today. And the second set of the To Terrapin album is Samson. It begins with Samson and Delilah, Tennessee Jed. Then it goes Estimated Profit, Playing in the Band, Terrapin Station, Drums, Not Fade Away, Wharf Rat. Back to Playing in the Band, then One More Saturday Night, and US Blues. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
So I figured we'll just jump right into it and get started. Like, I don't know, does anybody have... I mean, I was actually thinking maybe we could do like 3 favorite songs from the second set. Because we kind of did 3 favorite songs from the overall, but like, what's your 3 favorite from the second?
Ooh. Alec, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think my 3 from the whole show, actually, from the last time, 2 of them are even in the second set. I think the only one that I'm not getting is Sugary, because I was in the first. Second set, I would say Tennessee Jed and Not Fade Away, which are both in my top 3 for the overall show, still stand. It's going to be a toss-up between probably the first Playing in the Band and the Terrapin Station. I think I'm going to say the Terrapin Station for the sake of the show.
It was a fantastic Terrapin.
Are we going into depth as to why, or just that's it?
We can get into that later if you want, if you just want to.
Yeah.
I'd say my 3 favorite from the second set would probably be Samson and Delilah, Tennessee Jed, and it's also a toss-up between that Terrapin. And I liked US Blues, but I don't know. I really like that Terrapin a lot. It did bug me a little bit that they didn't do the second half, but again, I get it. It hadn't come out yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would say the Terrapin is the third.
All right. Yeah, I agree with most of that. I mean, my 3 are probably Samson and Delilah. I think Not Fade Away and then Terrapin Station are my 3 favorites.
I do just want to shout out that Playing in the Band, though. We'll get into that.
Yeah,
that was fantastic. Just the whole series that came from that is
the song sandwich. They made a song sandwich with Playing in the Band.
Yes. We'll leave that for later.
Oh yes.
All
good things come to those who wait, my children.
All
right. So do we just want to? You guys ready to just get into it?
Yeah.
All right. So, first song of the second set, Samson and Delilah. What a fantastic opening to the second set. It is super energetic. The drumming in it was awesome. I personally thought one of the like drumming highlights of the album.
They always pull that one out.
Yeah.
Like it's so good.
Yeah.
Also, I love the and this is kind of confusing me. Because there's One More Saturday Night at the end of the set, but they generally play this on Sundays. if you miss church, go see the Dead and get your dose of church in with this song. It is an old Bible story. So that's I love the way that they kind of pull that off. But it has that like really powerful kind of like singing in church kind of vibe to it. When Bobby is like screaming, it's great. So I really like that, especially as a start to the second set. You're right, man. It's a good way to fire it off.
Yeah.
Just an interesting touch just on that small topic of like Dead trivia. I think it's really interesting how kind of the only two big songs that they keep for a specific time are One More Saturday Night, obviously for Saturday, and then the Samson and Delilah usually for, like you said, Braden, on Sundays. I mean, outside of that, I feel like Cold Rain and Snow are like feels like rain or looks like rain, or some of those they keep for the weather stuff. But the interesting
That's so cool too.
yeah.
They adapt to the world.
Yeah, they're really in tune.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing I think too is, conversely, I've never listened to a show like this, but I've heard from old Deadheads who used to go see like the original that sometimes they'd also play One More Saturday Night on Sunday.
Really? Just for fun?
Just for fun, because that's a Bobby tune. I don't know. So.
And this is 77. They're in like full blast Grateful Dead mode.
Yeah.
They're not at the beginning and they're nowhere near the end.
No.
So they can do whatever they want here.
It's true.
Yeah.
Dave, I didn't mean to interrupt. What do you want to say about Samson and Delilah?
Oh, I was just gonna, Braden, I was just gonna agree with your Bobby statements. Bobby was fantastic, I thought, throughout the song. And I mean, like, throughout the show, we've talked in the last episode a lot. At least I did a lot, I know. Bobby was great throughout the show.
He was really strong, yeah.
He was, like, singing and playing wise, I thought he was awesome.
Youthful Bobby.
Yeah.
Youthful Bobby he's got energy, he's got like style. It's great.
He's got those screams. They're not just like whimpers or like
Wait, hold on.
like voice cracks. I don't know.
my dad just interrupted with some important news. A buddy of ours just picked this thing up, and he's like, "That's what we're going to shows in now." Bet. Hold on, there's more
awesome.
pictures. I'm not kidding. He's like, "Yo, my buddy just picked this up. We're going to shows in that." So we're probably going to Saratoga and the other Dead shows in this thing.
Yo, instead of naming that,
Damn.
we got to come up with a new name. Obviously, that should be Tennessee Jed right there.
This guy?
That's
Yeah.
Jed.
That's
Or
Jed.
just-
Big old
Is it
Jed.
just Jed or Tennessee Jed?
Dude, look at it. It's a whole ass bus.
Damn,
That's so cool.
That's crazy.
got that early '90s like seating.
Yeah, like it's got the cloth seat from the side of like a Solo Cup from '97.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick. Sorry to interrupt, but that's awesome. Now we don't have to sit and bake in my van with no air condition.
For real.
Yeah.
I will just say to progress along. I like the Samson and Delilah. I actually didn't have as many notes on it as you guys did. It's always like a neutral song for me a little bit. So very good version though. I thought Bobby and Donna both had really good vocals on it. That was kind of all I had for that one. But a good opener to the second set. I would agree with you on the drums. Definitely picked the pace right up from the first set.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I always love a good Samson and Delilah.
Yeah,
Always
I
been
am
featured.
partial to a good Samson and Delilah. That is
Yeah.
one of my favorites.
It's such an energetic get up and dance. Like I don't
Also,
know.
I mean,
It's a great
like
song.
personally, for me, it's nostalgic. It's just one of those songs that I heard younger, when I was first getting into the Dead. That was, you get background knowledge, trivia, like the stuff we talked about earlier. It's the little
Mhm.
stories that go along with it. This one is kind of, it fits that description as one of the original Dead songs that I listen to. So I'm a bit biased, but
Yeah,
and it
I mean,
cool.
for me, it's also like it's a little less cool than yours, but like I heard the story so much growing up of Samson and Delilah from my parents and stuff. So it's like I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it, but
That's still cool. That's awesome.
yeah. All right, moving on. Any last thoughts on Samson and Delilah?
I'm set.
No, we're good. All right, Tennessee Jed.
Oh yes,
Alec, you're one of your favorites of the entire show.
absolutely. Um, so I mean, I
Take
think
it away.
last episode one of you guys said that you weren't as big on Tennessee Judd. And I feel like it's kind of switch over. I really like Tennessee Judd as a song overall. But in this show especially, it's it's really a version that I adore. It's just got this. It definitely is one of the slower songs of the entire show. They really do kind of pull it in and pull it back and slow it down, and it's just I love the version. I love what Bobby's doing with the slide on this one. It's got this like slinky sound and feel to it. That's kind of technical terms here at Band Jam. It's slinky feel. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't say enough about it. Jerry's vocals are great on this thing. Um, and I think after the energy of Samson and Delilah, it's kind of that nice, slower touch before they rip into the meat of the second set. So that's all I have to say. I just love this version so much, and I really commend Bobby's slide playing.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Bobby was killer in this song. Once again,
Yeah.
from this show, he was killer in this song. Um, yeah. I don't know if you noticed this, but like one thing I noticed was like for some reason it sounded like Phil kind of like dropped back in the mix in
I
this
would
song. Like, and his playing got, if anything, it was like more intricate in this song to me, but it sounded like his actual presence in the mix dropped back, and that might have just been because he was playing higher notes and like he was getting covered up because he was playing higher notes, so it was like messing with, I don't know, but
I think Tennessee Jet in general has more of that, like, it's not quite country, but it's got a little bit more of that almost
Got
like,
twang.
yeah. And it's more of that tone and less like this, like, I don't know, it's a little less of like the kind of deep atmospheric stuff where Phil really like pulls through and is like an integral part of the sound or the song's like chemistry.
yeah, I just wrote needed more Phil in the mix. I love this playing. I like, because like whenever I like keyed in on him, I was like, oh man, he's doing some great stuff, but I always just felt he was too quiet throughout the song.
Yeah, no, I like this Tennessee Jet. It's one of those ones again, like we were talking about in part one, that just kind of grabs your attention. But yeah, I didn't have that many notes on it, but I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was a good one. I actually one more thing I want to say about this song. That's also about Keith. This was another song where I was like, I don't know if I said this last episode, but just Keith sounds like a lot like a second rhythm guitar player, and like it's especially in this song. I noticed it a lot. But yeah, it was and then also one more thing. there was like a groove change for like 8 bars around the 8-minute mark. And it was a little more standard, like rock, like more upbeat blues or rock tune. It's just snare on the 2 and 4, whereas like they were kind of placing the snare like almost wherever before. Usually it was like 1 and 1 and 3 or something. But then they go to like just 2 and 4 standard rock beat, just for like 8 bars, and then they go right back. I thought that was a really cool moment.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that person, but that is dope. Yeah.
Any more thoughts on Tennessee Jed?
That's all I got on that one.
I'm set, but I do have some thoughts on the next one.
All right. Estimated profit. Braden.
See, okay.
Do you want to take it away?
I like estimated. I didn't used to like estimated profit. It always had this like a weird vibe to me. But I like this one because Bobby gets to do like an airy, like bohemian type weird. I don't know what he's doing. He's moving his voice from here to like here, like lower in his chest and lower throat. And it's a really cool effect. And I think he does that really well during this song, especially in this rendition. But yeah, it's an interesting way to follow up Tennessee Jed. It does. It kind of sits in between Tennessee Jed and playing in the band. It's a good split up for like if they know they're going to go on that massive tangent, with playing in the band into everything else. It is a good split song between the mojo and momentum of Tennessee Jed, estimated profit, break it up, and then go into a continuous stream. But I like it. It was a really good way to do that. Actually, now that I think of it, that's exactly why it's there. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. Cool. Well, cool. But nice, I like the way that Bobby does it with his like, ha. I don't know how to explain it. It's a very airy bohemian tone that he uses, so it's great.
I know what you mean. I know you're referring to vocally that he does.
Yeah, I can't really describe it, and I'm probably using the wrong terminology. But if you listen to it, you'll kind of hear him do something a little different, just kind of playing with the tone that he uses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had actually a good amount of notes for this one. I felt with this estimated there, and I think this really just lends itself to the fact that Jerry's really doing a lot with like the wah pedal on this one and different effects. But there's a really strong stark contrast between him and Bobby on this one that you really can hear. Jerry's more spacey and Bobby's more just doing his kind of sharp his sharp Bobby thing, his Barbie toe. I liked his vocals though. I would agree with you. Like again, Bobby really had good vocals, good harmonies with Donna again on this one. Donna really just like killing it on this show. Crazy. But yeah, I had written down around the 7-minute mark. I really liked what Jerry was doing during the solos there. I felt like he was kind of, even though he was using the same kind of tone, he was using it differently around this part. I really noticed. And obviously this version, there's a big dynamic change towards the end of it, as it's going into playing in the band. Not the cleanest transition. I don't know if I should have left that, but yeah. Star of this version, I'm gonna say is Phil. Phil's really in the mix on this one. He's moving everywhere. And I really liked, especially in the later jams, where he's just, for me, it just felt like Phil was walking up and down scales right in between what Jerry was doing in it. I don't know. I really noticed the two of them kind of bouncing off each other on this one, but that's what I wrote.
Yeah. I honestly didn't really even have notes on Phil for this one, but it's not like I probably wasn't really listening. I think at this point I was so like, Phil's not even doing anything. God damn it. I was just like not even paying attention to him. But I don't know. This is, I have it just like, this is one of my favorites of the album.
Because I feel like you have a weird relationship with this song, Dave. Kind of like what Braden said. I feel like Estimated Profit's not always one of your favorites. And correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, it generally isn't. I love this song, but like I haven't always loved Bobby's vocals, just in general, especially on this song. But like when he does it right, he really like I don't know, he really kills it. And I thought he did it really well on this album. Um, yeah, I think honestly, like Donna, yeah, Donna's great, but like it's him and Donna blending together that I think works really well. Um, and I mean Jerry's tone is great. I love his tone. I've always loved his tone on this song. He does that like wah flanger reverb effect, like the combination of
How do
those
you
three or
describe
something.
what that sounds like? I've always tried to and it escapes me. Like what would you it's
Yeah.
like a whoop or like
Wow, wow.
it's
Like I
almost like, you
guess.
know that thing you can put on the end of a horn? It's like you put that on the cone of a speaker, but like with his tone. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I don't know.
he's definitely got a wah going, but it's just a matter of like what other. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not pedals, but I feel like other pedals.
No, he's definitely got to be using other pedals than just a wah.
Oh yeah.
It's not just a wah. I mean, like it's definitely a wah, but others. I think it's a flanger, but
You're
I
gonna
don't
make me
know.
listen to it again. I'm curious. I gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
We need
But
to
how would you
do.
describe that sound is the thing that I've always
Wow,
had
wow,
trouble.
wow, 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 wow.
Perfect.
There you, beautiful.
There it is. That's
Um,
the new definition.
uh,
I'm gonna put
um,
a description of that on amps now for that
yeah,
preset.
just put that on
Yep.
how to get
Preset.
the wow, wow, wow
Wow,
sound.
wow. Yep.
Keith had that. I think he had that organ sound. I think on this one again. Harsh Attack was pretty cool. It worked well with Bobby, kind of like an extension of his playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was better than Wake Up to Find Out.
It was better than
I
that
thought it was
version.
definitely better than that version.
I think the version. I will just to be devil's advocate. I think that for me, I like the Estimated Profit on Cornell even better than this one, just because it's in the same tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing in the band.
Yeah, playing in the band.
We're here now. We've
We
entered
are
the long
here.
stretch.
We've entered the sandwich.
We have entered the sandwich.
So, I don't know, does anybody want to start, or like, should I just kind of get it rolling, or anybody?
Take it away.
All right.
I actually just want to say one quick thing before I let you roll into this. I just wanted to talk about real fast the transition. I think that this one, they kind of do. It's just a tough transition because it's very like spacey and whatever at the end of Estimated Profit, and then you're going kind of the upbeat and also just like the beginning of playing in the band is structured more like a conventional, almost even like a first set song. So I felt the transition didn't quite mesh as well in this one. The only other thing I wanted to say, I think the drums from here out are really good. And I think the drums overall are, as we've discussed, are great the whole show. But those last three songs, they're still good, but I did notice up to this point there is kind of a little bit of a difference with the drums. It's not, and I think it might be partially because they're playing slower songs a little bit with like Estimated and with Tennessee Dread, but the drums feel like it feels like they came out of the break and they were like, "Hey Bill, like chill a little bit." Like I don't know. I noticed that for the first three, but in playing in the band, I thought it went right back. But yeah, that was a short comment that turned long. But go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, no, that was great. Honestly, I don't think I had a lot on this first playing in the band. It was just kind of like, Donna was solid. Bobby and Jerry mixed really well. I guess they were doing their harmonies during the riff. I don't know if I was talking about. I have that written down. I don't know if I was talking about like their guitars doing harmonies, or if I was saying their vocals, probably their vocals. But I thought Phil was great on this song.
He's got like a little solo part at like the 3 minute mark. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was great. Um, and then I don't know, and then they start to go into that transition, and that like is awesome. Um, like that jam before the transition was really, really good. I thought it gets like really interesting tonally. I mean, they do that thing where they always do where they're in a key and maybe there's a chord that they're playing around, but like none of them are playing chords and they're all just kind of like each one is almost playing their own like melody, but it all works somehow and it's so great. And they did that in this song. And they did it a lot in this section of the playing in the band sandwich, I guess we'll call it. So yeah.
I pulled it up on my phone and moved over to like 3/4 of the way through the song. I just pulled it up to that point exactly when you were talking about like they kind of just all do their own thing in a weird way, but it actually works. It's great. This song
Yeah.
is great because it's kind of an exemplification of what they do and who they are and how they do it. It's literally a song called "Playing in the Band." It's just like, what? It's playing music, man. Have fun. It's great. So they all just kind of let loose a little bit. It's cool. You know, Donna and Bobby lock it down. That's great. But
Yeah.
Jerry's very playful during that kind of improvisational section.
Yeah.
He's kind of toying with different
I
things.
think Jerry's almost at his best when they do
when
that
he's
kind of
playful,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
When he's just having fun. It's a philosophy that you know, again, if you see the Amazon thing, they portray it as something he lives by. So, but he sounds so good. So, I mean, it's kind of true. He's just a playful, fun guy.
Mm-hmm.
He comes through, especially when he doesn't have any constraints. Like everybody is doing whatever they want, and he doesn't have to feel bad about doing something that might be a little avant-garde or something.
Yeah, and when they're just like playing off each other and they're like communicating. It's like it really is like a
They're
big
just
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so good.
it's a good one.
I'll just
Any other?
I kind of honestly just want to echo what you guys said. I don't really have too much big to add. Like I already mentioned, Phil had that little solo I liked. Jerry, like yeah, they get into some jams on this version that like, ooh, they almost go like Dark Star level, but not they don't quite go there, but like they get in the atmosphere.
They get in the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Yeah.
They really get into some jams that make you go like, "Wow, this is still playing in the bands." But yeah, and same, Jerry. I love how when he gets into that, he does bring back the wall a little bit. I like how spacey it gets. I guess my only real comment. I know I just made the comment about the drums, so it's kind of funny that I'm saying this, but towards the end when they are doing some of the jams, the drums start to do some cool stuff. I think if I remember correctly on this song, they're doing these little like double time, almost like 16th notes
Yeah.
hi-hat, and like awesome. And I remember listening to this again recently and being like, that's a very interesting little like drum section that I don't know if I've heard as much in other shows. But
What's really cool about that is I think they do it at the end of this, like at the end of this playing in the band, and then they do it at the intro of the next playing in the band. Because I have that written down for the next playing in the band, like for the when they come back. So I'm pretty sure they do it because I think I remember them doing it at the end of this one as well.
yeah,
So I think it's like, which is dope.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I guess if everyone's good on this, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
If everyone's good on this one, just to move it on to transition smoothly as they do, the Terrapin Station,
Mhm.
nice little transition into there. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I really liked Bobby's opening lines, and he's doing these little like cascade kind of lines in the very beginning that I really liked. And yeah, I just I felt that this Terrapin Station, it's definitely, to Braden's point, they don't have that last section. They're definitely still working the song at this point. Like you can definitely tell. Um, but the version that they do with this one on this show is just awesome. It really feels like everybody's just kind of just trying like whatever they can try, and it's working very well. Jerry does some stuff, especially in the later, I always forget like the different sections of the song, like the names, but when he's kind of getting towards like the inspiration part towards the end, um there's just some lines he has that are just killer on this.
Hmm.
And Jerry really is the one who stands out from about the halfway point in the song on. But I just really felt the transitions between versions is really smooth on this. And it just, Terrapin Station, when it's done right, with all the transitions done flawlessly and all the different parts of the song just done perfectly, it really can be as powerful as a good Help Slip Frank, in my opinion.
Yeah. I liked it because I liked it because you're right. They were workshopping it, but it still got. I think that allowed them a little bit more freedom to just kind of do different things. Like they always have any freedoms that they want. The Grateful Dead, that's kind of what they do. But within the constraints of where the song now goes, after they've established it, that's where I feel like they more reside in later versions. In this version, it's kind of a hybrid. Some of the instrumentals go off in different places, but Jerry stayed very true to the melody when he was singing. So like, I don't know if it had just been written or was still very, very new, but it was interesting to hear a live Terrapin Station in which Jerry was very, very, true to the original melody that was recorded. So I thought that was interesting. I really love this song though. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite songs they do.
Yeah. I thought it was a good version. I don't like, I had never really, if I'm being honest, paid attention to Terrapin Station much on the other
It's a commitment.
albums.
If you
I
sit
think,
down to listen to Terrapin Station, you need some time and some attention.
yeah, well, yeah, I think that was just it. I think I had never really like really listened to it. Um, and like this was my first time like really sitting down and listening to this song, and I was like blown away. And yeah, like I said, it was in my top three of the second set. Um, Bobby, I thought was phenomenal when he's doing that like lead slash rhythm thing. When like while Jerry's singing. And I thought Jerry's voice was pretty good as well. Um, yeah. The only thing I would have said that like I wanted was when like they go into that like when they do that like kind of explosive thing where it's like a bunch of they almost do like distortion and stuff. Phil usually like I think in later versions Phil usually will put the octave on. He'll do the octave pedal, but he doesn't do it in this one, and I wanted it so badly.
I wanted to say on this one, I think another kind of I really love Keith, and I do think there's some good moments, but overall, this is just not like Keith's show. It's just not his best show.
Yeah,
He
no.
kind of sits in the background most of it.
He really
Yeah.
does sit in the background, and he's
He's
not.
I mean like
He's also, I think, for most of it, the least prominent in the mix, in my opinion.
Yeah.
yeah.
He on this one, I think he stands out a little bit, but it's more in the capacity of like you said, Dave. Like it sounds like he's like a second rhythm guitar almost. Um,
Well, he's just I think like it was rare when he would play like a melody line,
Yeah.
or like he was pretty much exclusively playing chords for most of the show,
Yeah.
which is fine. It like added nicely, I thought, to some of the songs, but like
I just wanted to say for him and for the other members, when they really get in those parts at the end with the transitions and the rhythm changes, and they're all kind of playing like the dun dun dun, like the walk downs and all that.
When that's clean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I just thought they all were really on the same page on this one. But yeah.
Any more thoughts on Terrapin Station? We're ready to go on. Drums.
Drums is drums.
Any thoughts on drums? I would just say it's a nice like intro to Not Fade Away. That's why I liked it. But
I bet there's some deeply intriguing things in there that we could really get into. It's just I have a hard time sitting down and dissecting drums.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, this one was only like a minute long. It was literally like a short intro. Like they literally could have called it just Not Fade Away, I think.
I'm surprised they didn't. Okay, that's why I'm okay.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the drums is whatever. I just think the transition is beautiful from Terrapin into drums into Not Fade Away. That transition is great. And it's really that, like you said, it's really that the drums sets up Not Fade Away so perfectly.
Yeah. So yeah, then I guess Not Fade Away.
Not Fade Away is a personal favorite of mine.
Great.
Just because I love it, man. I love that song for several historical reasons, but also just the vibe of it is great. I mean, my dad told me this story about when he was at a show at like Madison Square Garden or something, and they played that as their last song, and people were going, "No, I love and not fade away," and like clapping, all the way out to their cars, like in the streets, for like a half an hour after the show had not only ended, but let out, and people were still doing this. So just the whole vibe of it is something I really, really like. And also it rips, when they get a fast one going, and this whole show is fast. So this one, I mean, after that intro, when Bobby's like, "Not fade away," it's so cool. Just light right off into it.
Yeah.
So
it's such a catchy song.
Yeah. I like this one a lot, and it's simplistic. It's one of their most like Jammin' but widely accessible songs. I like it for that reason as well. You can sit down and learn how to play this in 10 minutes.
Yeah. It is also a cover, this one.
Really? I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, it's a cover of an old, it might even be R&B, but like an old, like almost like Chuck Berry era rock kind of. Yeah, I think it's the Animals. I could be wrong, but it's definitely some like late 50s, early. Here, I'll look it up real quick.
Oh.
The other band who actually did a really famous cover of Not Fade Away. I'm sorry, Buddy Holly and the Crickets, I think. Yeah,
that's
Buddy Holly.
Okay.
But the Rolling Stones actually did a really.
I'm gonna look that up. That sounds so cool.
Fade Away cover. So
I say that one more time.
The Rolling Stones have also done like a very popular Not Fade Away cover. That's well known.
I didn't even know they did a cover.
Yeah.
I didn't know it wasn't a Grateful Dead song.
I also didn't know that it was a cover to begin with.
I would have thought that the Rolling Stones covered it by the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's interesting. The more you know.
I will say for the Not Fade Away, I mean, my only note is spectacular Not Fade Away. I think the only other version that really comes to mind for me would be like Cornell. But this one might have it beat. The thing with Not Fade Away is that it really feels like the song that this whole entire show was building up to. Like it really does, because the drummers were really just running the show for most of this thing, and even in the background they were just running the show and the pace. And it just seems like the perfect kind of accumulation at the end that they come to this moment, and they kill it on this one. Both guitarists are just amazing on this. I really like With This Not Fade Away, and I actually need to go back and listen to some other versions, including like the Cornell one, because I'm very curious to see if they do this with all versions, but this one almost has like kind of like a pacing or a setup, almost like a version of the other one, where like they don't introduce the vocals for like a solid like 5 to 10 minutes.
4 minutes and 30 seconds. I have it written down.
It's insane. I'm like, what, guys? You coming in, and then they're like, oh yep,
Yeah.
just wait.
Yeah,
we'll
no,
get there.
I like mentioned that too in my notes. I was like, they really milked the shit out of that intro, and every drop is amazing.
They really milked the shit out of that intro. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's honestly probably one of my favorite Not Fadeaways. If not my favorite. Yeah, great jam. I haven't written down. I'm pretty sure Jerry uses an octave pedal in this. Again, wish it was Phil, but I'll take it. It's an octave pedal.
I'll take an octave pedal.
I'll love me a good octave pedal. I also have written PS. Octave pedals and IPAs are one and the same. I don't remember what I was trying to say. Maybe just because they're both kind of crunchy, and like they kind of
octave pedals and like you meant the beer. You didn't mean
like the beer. No, like the beer and IPA.
Again, only the most scientific on this podcast, known as
Van Jammin.
In the words
Van Jammin.
The most technical.
Most technical things.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick about like Not Fade Away. I know like Braden, I know you and I have both seen it together in Hartford once. Dave, I don't think you've seen it yet, but there's something about that song when you first see it where that for me is like the song where you transition from like a fan to like a fan, because to Braden's point, like when it's over, they always play it to close the second set. Like everyone just keeps clapping. And it really, like, the version we saw in Hartford was great, but there was this one time I saw it up in Boston in the Wang Theater, and the energy that the crowd produced at the end of it, just continuing to clap and keeping it going until he comes back out for encore. And that was just Bob Weir and the Wolf Bros too. It wasn't even the full Dead and Co. or anything. Like, it's beyond goosebumps. Like, that is a moment where you're like, I love this fucking band, and I love being in the middle of these people who love this band, and we're the only people who do. No one else understands this band. And there's something about that moment when you experience your first Not Fade Away and the energy after that just, it's unlike
Very
any
special.
other moment that the Dead produce, I really feel.
All right.
Yeah.
That was a really good way to describe that.
Yeah.
It's just the all-inclusive song. Like, we will not fade away, us, the Dead, like together as one, the fans and the band. Like,
but not just we will not fade away, because that, it's our love. This thing, this love and passion for what we can create together as one. When we all come together in this moment, that's what's really, and it's. Everybody loves that song. Everybody comes together for that. It's a perfect, manifestation of that idea.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So, yeah, man, and it's, you're right. When you sit in that sea of people, and the cool thing is, it's thousands of people. It's, at this point, all over the world, it's hundreds of thousands of people. But those hundreds of thousands of people are the only hundreds of thousand people out of the billions of people who really truly understand what it's like to sit in a crowd and know every single person there without ever having said a word to 99.9% of them. Yeah. It's crazy. So yeah, that's a very good way to make that point.
All right. So is that, I guess, on to Wharf Rat then? I mean, that's a pretty good way to wrap it up. Like, I don't want so I guess first, any thoughts on like maybe the transition into Wharf Rat?
I don't remember it as much, so I can't really speak.
Yeah, I was
Honestly.
gonna say I didn't really remember it.
Yeah, I think it's an okay transition. I don't think it's great, but it's not horrible.
Hmm.
I'll start because I have the least to say, just so I know we're getting a little tight on time here.
Yeah.
Warfrat, I really like this version. I actually am not a big Warfrat fan. I always think of like the Boston show in '77, same tour the night before Cornell. There's a great version of Warfrat. But I have to go back and listen to that again because this version, re-listening this show in general, really piqued my interest. Not huge on the song usually, but this version might have turned that around for me a little bit. I really liked it. I thought it was a nice little bit of like a slower pace towards the end. Good stuff from Bobby, and definitely some cool sections with the piano. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. Actually, I have surprisingly a good amount of notes, but I also like um this is also like not a huge song for me. Usually I'm kind of like it's the one I skip, but this kind of piqued my interest, so I'm excited to go listen to more versions of it. But I guess main things. One, it's basically Dark Star. The chord you can just sing the Dark Star melody. Um,
Oh
which
my
I
God, you can.
Yeah, no, you can just go and do it. Whoever's listening, go and sing Dark Star over
Over
Wharf Rat. It
Warfrat.
works very well. Um,
That's
well,
crazy.
just for like the first like line or two, and then the chords are a little different. But yeah, Bobby's great. He does a lot of really cool licks, and he does this. He does a lot of like these tremolos, like these hammer on and hammer offs, or pull offs throughout the song. Jerry mostly playing chords, especially while he's singing. Um, yeah. This was one of my favorite transitions. That was the last thing I'll say is that into playing in the band. It was one of my favorite. Braden?
Man, I honestly, Warfrat again is not a big song for me. Generally, when you hear some other versions, Jerry's a little bit warbly. It's just kind of a slow and all right, everybody sit back and muscle memory take control. Let's run through this. But this one was not that. This one was very involved. Jerry was very on the ball. With his, I've talked about it before with this like forlorn type, like, oh, let me just rip your heart out and show it to you real quick. No big deal. I'm Jerry Garcia. Nice to meet you.
Mhm.
Um, like he reaches that effect very well in this song. Um, Going into that playing in the band though afterward, most of the song is just a jam, trying to figure out a way out of the forest. Like Warfrat was them telling stories around a campfire, right? And they're deep in the woods at this point. And getting out of the playing in the band is finding your way out of the woods. And towards the end of the song, they find the highway and they're there, man. They're ready to go. They're ready to play another show. And then
Yeah.
they hop into One More Saturday Night. It's fantastic. But yeah, Warfrat generally isn't a song for me. This one piqued my interest in the same way. It just came together really well. A lot of songs in this show just came together very, very well.
Yeah. I would honestly go as far to say like this piqued my interest enough that I'd be like pretty excited if they were gonna play it at one of the shows
Like
we're
if
going
at
to.
one of the 3 shows we're
Yeah,
going to,
like I'd be pretty excited to
Warfrat.
go see their version of it.
When we
Just
get
because
closer to that show, we got to make like a dream list, set list, and like put it on the podcast. That's gonna be sick.
yeah. All right. Into playing in the band, closing out the song sandwich. Um,
Very jammy.
yeah,
really
Very
fun.
jammy.
really jammy.
Big jam.
It's a great intro. Great intro. Um, Jerry has so many great licks and so many awesome runs in that like intro section. And Jerry and Bobby also I noticed were trading off riffs in the intro. They were doing a lot of that like back and forth stuff. Um, and again, the drums were like doing those hi-hat things, which was and like they just kept building. They were just doing like hi-hat and ride, and they were kind of just playing on that, maybe a few toms, and then they didn't really hit any snares until like right before the beginning, right before like the actual song comes in, you know. Yeah, that's about what I had on that.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I don't have a lot on the playing in the band. Other than it's just great. It's great continuation of the same jam where they left it, 4 songs before. And to Braden's point, they do really kind of they get back and then they jam and then they really just kick into the playing in the band like main kind of melody part or more like conventional part, and then they're ready to go. They're done with the night. Which is kind of like how I feel about the rest of the podcast because of the next 2 songs. Because I feel like the band was done with the rest of the night.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, Braden. You said you liked U.S. Blues, but like
U.S. Blues, I just like U.S. Blues. That's why. And I heard one here. Like you don't often hear them play U.S. Blues. I don't know if it's because it's old or they don't like to play it. I just like it, so I'm biased.
And I don't mean to skip. I didn't mean to skip over, Braden. If you want to say more on the playing in the band.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I said most of what I wanted to say for playing in the band when I made my forest metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think for me, I noticed the band, it just feels like right after this, they just like, it just, as great of a show as this is, it really just feels like all the energy is just sucked right out, done.
Yeah.
It's just like.
Well, it seems like they tired themselves out. And they were like, oh my God, we have 2 more songs.
I hate to say this. I like U.S. Blues. I've definitely heard better versions. This version just did nothing for me, honestly. I really don't have much to say on the last 2 versions, on the last 2 songs, other than like this. Honestly, might be one of my least favorite One More Saturday Nights I've ever heard, and I love that song. Like I really love that song, but it just sounds so devoid of any energy and the normal excitement that goes into that, and Bobby's not there. I feel like Keith is honestly the only part of it that's like kind of still got the original energy of the song, which is important. It's definitely got that piano. That song always reminds me of like Saturday Night Sorry for Fighting, like by Elton John, but they're not similar at all, really, but it's just that both songs have a really cool kind of rock and roll vibe that's really important on the piano's relation with like the guitar, in this case, Bobby. But this version is just like not it. It's just, I really felt like after playing in the band, it was like I would have packed up and gone home that moment. Yeah.
It's always good because it's always the Dead, but like I understand what you mean in that. I just listened to a clip of just the chorus, and Bobby sounds like that moment where either like you've been running for a while, working all day. For my example, you've just been playing for a while, and you're like so tired, but you have like either a big note or some large expenditure of energy coming up, so you just like synthetically charge your body up and like throw everything you've got at it, and then afterwards you're like for a second just in that wake of tired for a whole minute. It sounds like they're hanging on and really throwing those punches as hard as their body can, so like they sound a bit tired. I know what you're getting at.
Well, I like you said Keith was like keeping it up, and I was like, it's because Keith wasn't doing anything for the rest of the show.
Whole show. He was pacing himself.
Come on, guys, let's do it. And like they're all exhausted because they've been doing all this other crap. Like
he was pacing himself for those 2 songs, man.
Yeah.
He knew what was coming.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I didn't even have any notes on those last 2 because I just they were pretty forgettable to me. And
in the grand scheme of the renditions of those songs, which are both really good songs, they're a little lackluster.
Yeah, especially the one more Saturday Night.
Especially, I don't, I love that. I'm with Braden too. Like, it's the Grateful Dead. Like, any version, even if it's bad, is cool to listen to because you're like, that's what it sounds like when they're not at their par.
Hmm.
And part of the thing, though, I think why it's so disappointing with this show is just because the rest of it's so good. I mean, everything from the Bertha that started this thing off, that's kind of like just a normal Bertha, is amazing. All the way through. I mean, third song, you get that 20-minute sugary. I mean, this show is flawless. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And my thing is that, my argument, as I said earlier, is that this really might be this tour really might be the band at their peak in all their years of playing. The Spring '77 tour is the stuff of legend. I mean, the 4-night Cornell run, or where they did New Haven, Boston, Cornell, Buffalo, which I've referenced far too many times already. Like that, those 4 shows are the stuff of legend. And the thing is that those 2 songs are the way they end the tour. This is it. It's the last night.
That's the end of the tour.
This is it. This is the
Yeah.
last.
This is the
Okay,
last
now
show
I
of the
understand
tour.
why you hold you're not gonna lie, you're a little bit hard on them. Like I understand where you're coming from, but you're just like, fuck these songs. I'm like, no, because they're good. But you're right, they are lackluster, especially in comparison to the greatest tour. For a lot of people who listen to these guys, the greatest tour they did. That is up for massive debate, but. You're right. The stuff of legend came prior, and this being the little capstone on that, I can see how that's very disappointing.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, just like any kind of final closing thoughts on the album.
I'll just say quick. Great show. Great cherry on the top at the end of the end of the tour, like we just talked about. I give this show a solid 8 out of 10. I've always loved the To Terrapin show. It's one of the first Dead live shows that really I loved, alongside like Veneta and Cornell and some others. And it's also got a special place in my heart because it's definitely my favorite of all the shows I've ever heard in Connecticut, which is where we're all from. So
Yeah. Braden, you wanna?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I heard this show relatively recently. Like we started listening to this a little while back. And when I heard it, it just like we were listening to Wake Up to Find Out at that point, and I had trouble like staying on task and dissecting Wake Up to Find Out because this thing just was so good. It's one of the better shows that I've heard. It's got its flaws, it's got its high points and low points, but very, very few low points. It is a bit fast, but I mean, they're so playful, they're so energetic, they're so into it, and they're so lockstep with each other. I mean, really, man, to highlight the point you made before, this whole tour was the stuff of legend, and this was a really good end show for that. It's one of the better shows I've ever heard. So I very much liked it a lot. And Jerry was really on his game with his vocals too. Like, again, what was the thing? The lead singer of Kansas. My dad went to see Kansas like 4 years ago, and somebody on Facebook commented on a video that he had posted and said that the lead singer of Kansas had a voice that was a beautiful handcrafted flute with ornate carvings in it that had been smashed repeatedly over a rock over the years. And Jerry had not been to that point in 1977. He was still this beautifully, I would call it more of an ocarina type thing, but he's fantastic in this. And for that reason, really almost above all else, I really like this show because I love Jerry as a vocalist.
Yeah.
That's a bias though. I'm a vocalist.
Yeah, this is awesome show. Love this show. I hadn't really ever listened to it until we did it for the podcast. But like once I started, it was incredible. I'm definitely gonna keep listening to it, for sure. And it's definitely up there in one of my favorite shows, for sure. Bobby's great. I had never really liked Bobby either, so this almost like gave me a better appreciation for Bobby. And Donna as well, I think too. Donna and Bobby. So yeah, overall, it's a great show. It's pretty fast,
Bobby,
like you said, Braden. But I think the speed works for it really well. And yeah, I think it's a great show.
Donna and Bobby is Dobby
Dobby.
or Bonna. Dobby is better.
So
I like Dobby.
just to set us up real quick before Dave kind of takes us out of this episode. Thank you to everybody. We're hoping to get back with you for technically it'll be episode 4 in person. We are going to have some more episodes that are over Zoom like this. We apologize for video and audio quality.
Yeah, we're doing our goddamn best, all right?
For the 6 of you who are subscribed and listening,
Yeah.
we appreciate. We hope we get more people. We hope we can build a little bit of community. Please, please tell us some other musicians. We really do want to step outside of just the Dead. And yeah, to kind of preview for a little surprise, our next episode is going to be a nice 4th of July special, and we are going to be doing Live at Woodstock by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, because he plays the Star Spangled Banner. Let's reel it in. So thank you so much for listening to episode 3, which is part 2 of episode 2 of our To Terrapin show, because it was such a long show and we had so many things to say about it. So thank you so much for listening. We hope you guys keep listening. Please, follow our podcast, follow the YouTube channel, all that good stuff, and
Instagram.
Oh yeah, Instagram. Yeah, I'm Alec. You'll put the things in the.
I thought you said you were Alec. You're like, I'm Alec. You're David.
I was saying, Alec, you'll put the
Oh yeah.
You'll put the links in the description in the YouTube and stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys for 4th of July.